Greetings. I had to just take a deep breath. Just get into my body for a second. I know that I just recently went live and I wanted to hop on live again, and I said, you know what? There is no rule book to this YouTube thing, okay? You can get on live as many times as you want. You can upload as many videos as you want. You can take as many breaks as you want. You know, you can do what you want. So that's what I'm doing. And I wanted to come on here to talk to you guys more about my new course, the new Love Manifesto that I am actually going to get started on and go through a magnificent 6-week intensive with the ladies that decide to join starting on October 9th. And the new Love Manifesto is the beginning of realizing that the relationship that you want and the love life that you want is real. And this is for women, honestly. This isn't for women who have really low standards. And, you know, just being real, a lot of women don't really have that. They don't have high standards, if any standards, when it comes to men. They just kind of take what they can get. They settle. They're like, oh, here's a guy that likes me, you know, this is nice, this is cool. And, you know, you go through the motions, but deep down, like, after a while, you get to a point where you're like, I think there's more to life. I think there's more to just kind of finding someone to soothe and satiate my loneliness, and instead go for the parts of you that actually know that you can experience more, you can be more, you can have more, you can love deeper, you can be loved deeper. And you don't have to continue to settle for what you think is, you know, just normal. There's so many women who just kind of have these understandings of what it means to be equal and what it means to be fair in relationships with men. And when they look at other women, like women who require more, women who require having and getting what they want in relationships, this society has placed so much stigma around these women. This society has said to these women that you can't have that. That's not right. That's not fair. You know, a friend of mine was telling me about how when she started to realize that there were plenty of, like, there were women who were having all of these things like done for them, right? Having all of their bills taken care of, having a place paid off where they can live, right? Having, you know, just kind of being treated like a goddess, right? Literally like a goddess. They have this, like, you know, that's crazy, like, kind of response to it. That's crazy. That's not right. That's not fair. What are you doing for him? You know, what are you bringing to the relationship? You know, and these are things that women today have found value, right? They found value and have begun to value themselves in ways that are not natural to the real way you should be valued, you should be loved, you should be uplifted in a relationship by a man. And a lot of women today experience trauma in their relationships, experience less than ideal relationships, and attract less than ideal relationships because they don't understand this. They don't understand that all of the things that you've been made to believe, to think that relationships are about, it's not really about any of that. It's not really about any of that. And it's all about you and your connection to your own feminine energy and your relationship to receiving what you want. So in that, right, I've never personally had an issue like that. I've never felt the jealousy or felt like, actually, you know what? I'm lying to y'all. I'm lying. Back when, before I went through my own new Love Manifesto and before I went through my Love Potion days, right? And the Love Potion is another one of my programs that I'm actually going to be adding in as a bonus with the new Love Manifesto when you decide to sign up before October 9th and be a part of the 6-month intensive. Again, the link is down below to the Sacred Soul Academy for you to enroll. So that's going to be in there as a bonus. And before I went through my own Love Potion journey, I remember having moments where I really didn't understand it. I couldn't fathom, like, I thought that it was like unethical and snobbish and all these different things to have your needs met and be taken care of by a man. And I realized this when I started to make friends and connect with women that were not in my same aura, right? Like when you are connecting with different people, you're meeting new people, you're making new friends, there's like an aura of people that will surround you. And they were from different countries. So they weren't calibrated to the same norms that most American modern women are calibrated to. They were not from here. So they had a different understanding of feminine energy and the way a man is supposed to treat a woman and all of the things. And so they invited me on a trip to go to Miami with them and basically have a girls trip. I thought it was so nice, right? Like that they invited me. They really enjoyed my energy. And I'm a very friendly person. Like if you guys meet me outside of here and you never like known me as a ESAIA mystic and my YouTube channel or any of that, I am such an open, friendly, funny, goofy, like person. And I'm very, like, I'm just very myself. Here, I'm a ESAIA mystic. In real life, I'm really open, I'm friendly, and they really like that about me. They like how I could connect it to them. I even spoke their language. I knew a little bit of their language. So they was like, girl, come on this trip with us. We're going to Miami, girl. So I went with them. And when we went, the number one thing that I noticed when we went is that these women knew how to feel confident around men. And that made me so insecure. I didn't even realize it at the time. But they would pull, like, we were all attracting men, right? We were all attracting men. But those women, they would attract men, and the men would come to them and they would just be like so trusting, right? Like they would be so, I'm not saying like, like La La Land, like, but I'm saying like it was like their energy was just so relaxed when men came into the picture. So if they offered them something, if they said, "Hey, do you want, would you like us to give you a ride to this place, or would you like this, and they were just so open and trusting. That was weird to me, and it made me so like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with these women? They're gonna get me kidnapped, or they're gonna get me killed. Like, I was having all kinds of crazy thoughts run through my head about hanging out with these women. But what I didn't realize at the time is that actually these women are just really, they feel really safe around men. They don't distrust men. They don't fear men. They actually like men. They actually like when men give them things. And this was triggering me. I had no idea. I had no idea that I was being triggered by this, right? I just thought like it was like fears, right, coming up. But it was really this, right? Like their feeling of just being safe, being secure, being taken care of, everything is good, right? We called these men into our energy, and we're gonna go with the flow, right? They were so trusting. Triggered me, okay? Not only that, these women also easily were able to have men spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on them in one night. Now, I was with them, so I was also being splurged on. But the thing about it was I wasn't used to it. I wasn't calibrated to that. I didn't know or feel, I wasn't able to immediately feel comfortable with that because my nervous system was like, whoa, what the, like, this isn't normal. And so in that night, we went out one night. Actually, we went out a couple nights, but I don't know if it was that first night. We, were with at least two different pairs of men. And I think combined, they spent a couple $1,000 on us, or maybe more than that. They spent a lot of money, right? And all I remember thinking to myself is, oh my God, like they're spending so much money on us. Like, oh my, I was feeling guilty. Like I was feeling guilty that they were spending so much money on us. And you know what else that I was feeling? I was feeling like the women I were with were like pompous bitches that were draining these men of their money and their resources, and that they owed them something. Like this was me back then. This was years ago. And I remember that feeling. Like I remember going through that because I was about to sit here and tell y'all I've never had a moment like that, when I was referencing my friend and how she was like so amazed at all of the wonderful things that women can experience in relationships. And yeah, this was something that I also had to get like calibrated to. So hi T Warner, you said was you nervous about what to expect? Something similar happened to me before. So I wasn't nervous or anything, my nervous system, what I'm saying is my nervous system wasn't used to that kind of treatment. My nervous system wasn't used to being, spoiled and provided for and pampered. I wasn't used to that at all. I was used to the bottom of the barrel, dusty, let's go smoke and go chill kind of dudes. You know, do you want something from the corner store kind of dudes? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was not used to high quality treatment. And so I did have a moment. I had a moment where I was like judging these women, right? I was judging them and feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't hang out with them. They're spoiled, they're pompous, they're this, I can't hang out with these women. And lo and behold, when I look back on that experience, I remember going to Miami and actually finding a guy that I had met before online. It was like not really a real meeting, but it was like I saw him online before, and he saw me in Miami when I was out, and was like, when we saw each other, we kind of just clicked. And I remember the whole time I was with him, and he wanted to see me pretty much the whole time I was out in Miami. I can recall like needing to put in my share for gas money for the trip, because we drove to Miami, and I was short on gas money, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I spent so much time with that guy, and I was afraid to ask him for gas money. Meanwhile, I'm judging these women who are just having men spend all kinds of money on them, pamper them, follow them around like little puppies. And I'm afraid to ask for gas money. None of that clicked, or none of that hit me. Like the real reality of it did not hit me until years later. Until years later. And this is the sad part about it. At the time, I had the emotions, right? I had the triggers come up. I had the triggering emotions of like, oh, they're getting on my nerves, or, feeling that tightness in my stomach of like, oh my gosh, like I'm short on gas and I don't want to ask him for anything, like I had those emotions, but I didn't have the awareness. It wasn't until years later that I had learned and had the awareness that, oh my gosh, these women were like, they knew what they were doing, right? They knew what they were doing. And in their culture, it was tradition for them, right? Like, because all of them we were going to the same school, right? To the same college. They let me know, they were like, ESAIA, in our culture, like we don't really leave our parents' house or like go out on our own until we're married or until there's like a man taking care of us. Like, we just don't do it. We don't do that in our culture. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't really understand it at the time. But now that I look back and I see, right, the kind of lifestyle that I got to live with them for a weekend, and the kind of lifestyle that I went back to when I went back home, and the kind of people that I was hanging around, well, I would say guys that I was hanging around, and not only that, but the opinions that I had about these women, that the women close to me had about these women, you know, I'm realizing like this is why our love lives were so shitty. This is why their love lives were so shitty. Because the women that they were judging, the women that they were forming all of these nasty opinions about, as far as their, you know, energy and oh my gosh, is like, these are the women that you should actually be taking notes from. But they're triggering to you because they're tapped into their feminine energy. They're tapped into their feminine manifestation powers. They know how to call in love, feel safe around men, and feel empowered around masculine energy instead of feeling like the world and men are out to get them. And that is the difference. That is the difference. And so essentially, that's my experience, right? I have had moments of trigger, right? Where I wasn't able to fully embrace the way you are able to be treated. I was always used to not asking for anything, not receiving anything, not being shown, right, and embellished, right, in what I really deserved. And that took me a while. It took me a while to really get it. And, you know, I feel like at some points of my life, I had like my cousins were like trying to talk to me and tell me this, you know, like when people in your family are like trying to get you to make better decisions. Like I had women in my family would like come to me and talk to me, but none of what they ever told me made sense. Like it all just didn't make sense to me. They would say things like, "Oh, you know, you shouldn't dress like that," or, you know, "You shouldn't blah blah blah," or whatever. And I didn't understand it, right? And this is the thing, like when you don't go through your rites of passage as a woman, when you don't understand how you manifest and create your life as a woman, and especially in relationships with men, if you don't understand how you relate to men and how you call masculine energy into your life, it's all gonna go in one ear and out the other. It's not gonna make any sense, because it's like, okay, what's the point? Like, what's the purpose? I thought life was all about me being, you know, an independent woman, going to college, getting a job, and going from there. That's what I thought like life was about. And like men were just, you know, men. We use them for pleasure, or, you know, and then that's about it. We you know, I never got the mentorship or the straight to the point, this is what it is, goddess type of teaching when I was younger. And that's okay. It's perfectly fine now. Like, I don't have any regrets. I don't think that, you know, there's anything bad about it, anything wrong with that. I appreciate my journey because, you know what, I probably needed to go through all the things I went through on my own so that I could have my own expertise and knowledge and awareness now. And so now those things don't trigger me anymore. Now those things are just things that I expect, right? Now I understand the value of being high quality, dressing and presenting myself in a way that is high quality. Now I see the value and the point, right, of doing things in certain ways as a woman. T. Warner says, and now as adults, we realize we deserve all those things plus more. Knowing your worth is an ongoing process. Yes, and I mean, lucky for me, we were all young women at that time. We were all in our early 20s. We weren't even 21 yet. Some of us was not even 21. I think just one of us was 21. And well, I was trying to get into clubs with a fake ID. Those were the days. So yeah, I was young at the time. I wasn't even 21. And now I'm a grown woman. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh. What, like, yeah. I'm so glad I've grown. I'm so glad I've elevated from that mindset and from that consciousness." And so the thing about this is, and the thing about the reason why you need to be in the New Love Manifesto and that you need to be a part of this intensive is because these are things that are just something we should know, right? Like, it shouldn't take us years to figure these things out, to figure out how to be safe and feel safe in relationships with men, to figure out how to call in that exact relationship, right? Now, maybe not necessarily, and like, I'm actually thinking about, like, I'm looking back on my time in Miami, and I'm like, interesting. Like, if I knew what I knew then, if I knew then what I knew now, what I know now, and what I'm going to be teaching to you guys, I would have literally, yeah, things would have been different. Anyway, I'm reminiscing. This is what you need to know so that you can also be able to feel 1000% confident in who you are and attracting high quality and caliber men into your experience. This is what you need to know so that you can trust your ability to attract the right relationship. And that is, it doesn't have to take years and years and years and years. It can happen right now. And the reason that I'm doing this now is because we are entering into a new moon in Libra. We're entering into Libra season. Then we're going to be entering into Scorpio season. This is all about relationships, all about intimacy, all about that deep, all-encompassing, existential, universal kind of love. Like, till never do us part. Like, it's like an eternal love, right? This is what I want you guys to know that you can have and you can experience. And the New Love Manifesto is here for you to help you literally get the process going and have you in that dream relationship by the end of these 6 weeks, okay? Have you in that dream relationship by the end of these 6 weeks. So again, the Love Potion, my Light Feminine Energy Activation course, I am going to include for free. The course is worth over $1,000. I'm going to include this course for free when you decide to enroll in the New Love Manifesto for the 6-week intensive. So you get access to the New Love Manifesto 6-week intensive, as well as the content for the Love Potion that is going to be honestly all of the inner work that you need to do so that these triggers don't come up. Okay, all the triggers that I told you that I had, I wasn't even aware of, so that when these triggers do come up, you understand them. You know what to do with them. You know how to, excuse me, you know how to maneuver with them so that you remain in your feminine beauty, your feminine light, your feminine attraction, and you don't start to kind of like contract and become unattractive, like unopen to receiving, feeling unworthy of receiving, like all of those things, which is what I went through at that time. Now that I think of, like, now that I'm coming back to it, that is all the things that stopped me from having higher echelons types of relationships. And it wasn't like the men that I attracted wasn't on that level, because when I think back on it, like the guy that I met in Miami was a police officer. He was, you know, he was like, he had his own, he like owned his own properties, like he was in real estate. Like he was a good guy, like he was a successful guy. And I don't know what, like my mind was not there, right? Like my mind was not present and was just unaware, right? And so I couldn't receive it in its fullness, in its entirety. And it was an experience that I had to learn from. But now I want to share that magic and that awareness and that intelligence of how to receive these experiences and experience the love you desire in your most feminine way through the new Love Manifesto. So that is everything that I have to say on that. And I hope you guys learned something, that you realize, you know, how important this is. And this will be the last live video I do before next week. And we're going to be moving into the new moon, of course. So I like to kind of not be in the light during the dark phase of the moon. So I am going to not be going live, and I'll just be doing uploads for next week until Friday. And I might do a pop-up live. You guys know I like to do pop-up lives. Anyway, so yes, I hope you guys like this video. And if you haven't liked this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell if you are new here. And yes, I will see you all in my next video.